So I don't know what's happened recently, what came over people, but in just the past few weeks, there's been two kind of similar and pretty viral controversies about trademarks, and in just the past month, there was another viral controversy about trademarks. So I guess the trademark lawyers all over the world have been going pretty hard in the paint recently. I'll do my best to provide a succinct summary for you all for these big three that I have right here. Although I do need to clarify, I am not a lawyer. As stated in my previous vid, I'm just a big nerd with a search engine. So if I get anything wrong, please correct me in the comments. I would very much appreciate it.
Having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card. That's right. Having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card.
Alright, so we all remember when Megan Thee Stallion had that hot girl summer thing that got really popular with the youth of today. I say that like I'm a freaking fossil. It existed before her, but since she made it so popular among the mainstream, people started doing hot girl whatevers. And one of the things that got coined, specifically by Book Talk it seems, was hot girl reads. And this became a thing where you could buy merch with this phrase on it, put it in your hashtags. You could title a series of videos hot girl reads where you just talk about whatever you were reading. It was one of those phrases, you know? It was one of those generic phrases that a lot of people in the community used, and everything was going well until one day. Ali Mitrovic, the founder of an online store called Ali Rose Co, where you could buy like bookmarks, journals, all that jazz, she posted on her Instagram a story saying that she has officially trademarked Hot Girls Read in the categories of bookmarks, stickers, notebook covers, book covers, notepads, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and hooded sweatshirts. Meaning if any company wanted to print something or make something with this phrase on it, she was going to tell them, hey, you need to stop making that because I own this phrase even though I did not come up with it. And at the bottom of the story, she's straight up saying to businesses that follow her, if they have stuff that has that phrase on it, to remove those listings now. Now, as you can imagine, this faced just a little bit of backlash. I mean, she only turned an entire TikTok community against her overnight. Comments under her pages were turned off, not because she was getting absolutely flamed, I'm sure. It was probably just because, I guess sometimes it's nice to use social media without the express purpose of being social. Yeah, this was pretty much an immediate PR disaster. And I'm really having trouble understanding why she thought this was a good idea, because this phrase is popular among Book Talk, so I'm going to assume she uses the app and is involved in that community in some way prior to this whole fiasco. You figure somewhere in between coming up with the idea to trademark it and actually filing for it, she would have realized, hey, I'm about to make an entire community mad at me, and this community is very active on social media, so of course they're going to spread the word about what I did. And the target demographic for my products is this community. I feel like this is the easiest way to not shoot yourself in the foot, and yet she managed to do so still. It's like, you have to try to shoot yourself in the foot by doing this. Now, what makes me extra happy about this story is apparently a lot of people on Etsy, they decided to pull in Area 51, they can't stop all of us move, and they just started spamming the site with a bunch of different stuff that says Hot Girls Read on it. A lot of different stuff. And there was even somebody selling stickers that said, hot girls don't trademark community phrases, and that's pretty funny. But the most surprising part to me, I didn't even know you could do this. Apparently, if you can prove that this phrase was in use before the person trademarked it, you can actually get a motion to cancel their trademark, and somebody did exactly that.
But when I looked up the trademark, I saw something that made me think, Ali Rose & Co. isn't going to get to keep this trademark. Because today, June 5th, somebody actually filed a motion to cancel Ali Rose's trademark. And the argument in that cancellation is that Hot Girls Read is a common phrase that has been used in the literary community and was in use long before Ali Rose & Co. ever used it.
Well, geez, it's almost like trademarking a phrase you had nothing to do with the creation or was a bad idea.
Now, we would actually not get to see if that motion to cancel it would go through because Miss Mitrovic herself uploaded a video saying, yeah, I'm going to right my wrongs, I'm going to drop that trademark. All of the profits from the Hot Girls Read merch on my shop, they're going to go to 2 charities, and I'm very sorry to every small business that I've harmed. Oh yeah, there were rumors that she was going after those people on Etsy selling the stuff. However, I haven't found if she actually did that or not. She did deny it in her apology video for what it's worth. But as of right now, it seems like she's done with that trademark and we can all move on with our lives from this. I'm glad that we seem to have gotten a happy ending from this. It's someone made a really dumb decision. Everybody was like, bro, what the heck is wrong with you? And then they were like, you know what? You are right. I'm sorry. I'm tweaking. It's all wrapped up with a nice little bow on top. A little bit of Christmas in July. Or I guess June actually was when this happened. All right, next story.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
So in the same vein of hot girl reads, we also have hot girl walks, and it's exactly what it says on the tin. You and your girlfriends get together, take a nice stroll, and you flex how hot you are to the fellow people. So from what I could tell, this blew up around the Rona, and then since then, a lot of different walking clubs have spawned up with the Hot Girl Walks moniker. Miami, Utah, Pittsburgh, Indiana, basically all over the place. These clubs are spawning, and then one by one, they started getting hit with cease and desists from a social media person named Mia Lind. So Miss Lind says she came up with Hot Girl Walk while attending the University of Southern California. She then trademarked it, and then she started partnering with a bunch of brands and then turned it into her own business. So I watched Ready to Glaire's video on this, and she says it's always someone from freaking UFC. I don't know much about the University of SoCal. Are they just known for nut jobs? Please enlighten me in the comments. I would love to know, because spoiler alert, Miss Lind here is kind of a screwball. But back to the story. So the towns and cities that I mentioned previously, their clubs start getting hit by Miss Lind with cease and desist, and the one for Indianapolis is particularly interesting because this article right here from Mirror Indie claims that Lind is not just suing the owner of the club for trademark infringement, but also doxing, activating a social media army to destroy Lind's brand, signing her up for spam calls, a bunch of crazy stuff. Okay, I should probably mention that these are all allegations. I don't know if any of this stuff is true. I just know Lind is trying to sue people for using a term that she didn't even come up with. Or at the very least, giving her benefit of the doubt. Other people had the same idea independent of her. I feel like it's worth mentioning that the club in Indiana that's being sued, Hot Walk Indy as they were originally called, was in the middle of rebranding to a different name as they were being served the cease and desist, but Lind is still seeking compensatory and punitive damages. And by the way, from this article, it doesn't sound like Hot Walk Indy was even making money. They said it was a completely free thing. So I don't even know what damages she could be seeking compensation for. Like, I get you have to protect your trademark in the US or else you lose it, but if this person's not even making money off the event, what damages could you even seek for? Because it's not like there was any controversy. It's not like anybody died at this event or anything that reflected poorly on you. And if they were already in the middle of changing the name, why not just be, alright dude, no harm, no foul, just change that name and then we'll be on our merry way. But believe it or not, sending the cease and desist to the walking clubs is the least egregious thing Lind has done, because at the very least with those you could say she's protecting her trademark. And if something bad happened at those walking events, it could reflect poorly on her business. But we're gonna get into something really stupid right now. So there was a podcast called the Wellness Cafe podcast run by this woman named Trinity, and in the intro of this podcast, she just references hot girl walking.
We're having some girly chats about Hot Girl Summer today. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Wellness Cafe podcast, your go-to Hot Girl Walk podcast. I'm your host, Trin Tondelier.
Like, she just barely touches on the subject of it, but because of this line in the intro, Trinity uploaded a video to her TikTok saying, hey, my podcast got removed from Spotify entirely because Lind said it infringed on her trademark and she sent her a cease and desist. But not only is Lind going after Trinity because of the intro, apparently in the cease and desist, Trinity talks about pending trademarks that Lind is trying to get, and these right here are just baffling.
Didn't even tell you girls the best part. In the cease and desist, it says she has, oh my god, I can't even get this out with a straight face. She has pending trademarks for the words goals, gratitude, and confidence. Girl thinks she invented the universe. One thing that I do respect is the sheer audacity to think that you invented confidence. Like, that can't be real.
This person is out of control. And at first I thought, okay, maybe there's a slight possibility Trinity is making stuff up here, because sometimes people do that. But then there's this video that Lind herself posted to her own account, and the type of person that says the stuff that she says in this video, I 100% believe they would also try to trademark those normal, just English words.
I've said this story a million times on my page, but I created the Hot Girl Walk when I was at a very low point in my life. It was COVID. I was going through a lot. At the time, there was a huge stigma surrounding walking. Nobody was walking for fitness or for fun. It was COVID, and so walking only existed as like the post-dinner thing that your mom made you do. And it sounds so dumb looking back on it, but people were not really walking for fitness like that.
This is not a real person. I refuse to believe it. Did this girl just never have one health class in all her years of schooling, including college? Did she not watch any episode of a show on PBS Kids that was like, hey, walking is good for you?
They were the ones who encouraged me to post about this on TikTok. And before I did a little quick Google search to see if anything like this existed, anything, the word hot girl walk, anything like that. And there was nothing like it. So I posted about this on TikTok and it totally blew up.
What do you mean she did like a Google search to see if hot girl walks already existed? First off, I don't even know if I believe that, but I wasn't there, so maybe if you did Google it, you wouldn't get any results. But like, it's one thing to say you came up with the methodology of walking and then you think about like gratitude, goals in that order, and then whatever else next. It's one thing to say you came up with that. You can't just say that nobody was walking for fitness reasons. I'm never gonna get over that. I'm gonna be like falling asleep in like the next few months and I'm just gonna hear her say that and right before I go to sleep and I'm gonna wake up again. I'm just gonna think. I'm just gonna stare at the ceiling. Anyways, Lynn was also going after Instagram accounts that mentioned hot girl walks, and I think she actually got one ban. However, that one seems to be reinstated now, thankfully. But the most egregious example of her being completely overly protective of this trademark, it has to be this one where some girl made a Spotify playlist called Hot Girl Walk. And that's all it was. It was a Spotify playlist. And allegedly Lynn saw this and was like, can't use that name. I own that. So yeah, that playlist is getting deleted for the name of a playlist.
So my playlist called Hot Girl Walk got taken down by Spotify because Mia Lind, who's the creator of Hot Girl Walk, said that I was infringing on her trademark. I just want to start off by saying I genuinely had no idea that this was a trademarked thing. I thought saying hot girl walk was just a trend on social media. I thought that hot girl anything was just Meg the Stallion.
I am genuinely hoping that I fell for a fake here and this didn't actually happen. Because if this happened, if she's telling the truth, this person here, this Lind needs to be stopped. What would you even gain from taking this playlist down? What do you lose from having it up? How does this playlist affect you in any way whatsoever? This can't be real. It just can't be. Alright, so unfortunately this story and the next story, they're actually still ongoing. There's no conclusions yet. So here's hoping that we will get conclusions to both of them soon and Lynn's reign of terror comes to an end soon. I've saved this one for last because I've had my ear to the ground for a little bit for this one. These other two, I had no idea about any of them until just a few days ago, but this one, I've had my peepers open, and I am ready to yap about this one. I'm going to try to break this down so that even people who have no knowledge of guitars or any of this stuff can hopefully still follow along. So, Fender Musical Incorporated, the company behind the Stratocaster, which is this guitar right here on screen, sued a company in China that would make copies of this guitar and sell them for like $60 on Alibaba. Fender was like, hey, you can't do that with our guitar, it's lawsuit time. So they duked it out in a court in Dusseldorf, Germany, which is apparently a very influential court for these matters in Europe. Fender presented their case to the judge saying, hey, we own the copyright to this guitar. This company should not be able to make it without our permission. And the Chinese company rebutted with absolutely nothing because they just didn't show up to court. I guess they didn't think their legal team could cut the mustard. So, Fender pretty much won by default, and because of this court ruling, they now own the copyright to the Stratocaster's body shape in Germany. And very shortly after this ruling, a bunch of guitar builders from across the globe started getting cease and desist from Fender. And it basically comes down to, hey, we need you to stop making and selling those guitars. And if any of y'all sold a Strat style or S style guitar to a company in Europe, you need to recall that guitar and destroy it. Or you're gonna face $250,000 fines. Now, if I just present the situation like this, it sounds like Fender is being pretty reasonable. They're just trying to defend their copyrighted work. However, there's a few details that I left out that make Fender look really, really bad. So first, notice that I said they're defending their copyrighted work and not their trademark. And that's because Fender doesn't own the trademark to their Stratocaster body shape. They actually don't even own the copyright in the US, which is their home country. They've tried to get the trademark, but they haven't been successful. They've gotten denied a few times, so it's officially in the US, their home country. The Stratocaster shape is public domain, meaning you yourself could build your own Stratocaster and sell them. You just couldn't call it a Stratocaster because they own that name. And as for the copyright to their shape, it was believed they wouldn't even be able to get that if they tried, because the copyright doesn't protect the guitar's body shape. See, copyright and trademarks are similar in the fact they prevent people from making stuff without your permission, but they each apply to different things. Let's take a look at this guitar to show you what I mean. So, this guitar, the actual shape, is trademarked by the company that makes this, but the design on it, the paint, these drawings on it, that's copywritten. However, Fender's trying to use this ruling to say that they own the copyright to the Strat's shape because of something called copyright protection for applied art, which in layman's terms means the design of the Strat's body is enough of a work of art to be protected by copyright. So what's happening is a lot of people are thinking that Fender is trying to use underhanded tactics to pull the rug out from these builders that just a month or two ago were completely protected by the law. But the moment Fender found a loophole, they started saying, hey, stop what you were allowed to do just a moment ago or you're gonna get sued. So this already turned a lot of people against Fender. However, I don't even think this is the most indefensible thing they've done. Because at least still you could make the argument Leo Fender made the Stratocaster shape along with a team of people. The Fender company owns that shape now, and they're trying to keep people from copying it. However, I think what really drove Fender's reputation into the dirt is this dealer meeting that took place where the CEO gave a big speech about all the stuff that was happening, and somebody filmed it, put it online, and holy cow, is this the absolute worst thing that could have happened PR-wise. This thing really put a spotlight on how hypocritical they're being with their demands. So I think my absolute favorite comment in this whole thing is this one right here.
A contribution that has blessed every single one of us in this room and millions of players around the world. We are not going to let the legacy be erased, nor are we going to let it be diluted. Words matter. Shapes matter. Heritage matter. And protecting it matters.
So let's just play ball for a second. Words matter, shapes matter, heritage matters. So, Fender doesn't just make electric guitars, they also make acoustics. And acoustics, like electrics, have their own body shapes. There's concert, parlor, jumbo, whatever the heck this monstrosity is. There's all sorts of different ones. And the most popular of these shapes is something called the Dreadnought, which was invented by a company called Martin back in the day. Martin has absolutely no relation to Fender. They are two completely different companies, but you know what? Let's look at Fender's own website here. Alright, acoustics, shot by category, acoustic guitar, and let's see here. Oh, would you look at that? CD60S Dreadnought, and it's the very first result too. Hey, let's look for a jumbo like the one I mentioned earlier. Let's see, Sweetwater.com, very famous music retailer. Oh, look at that. Fender did make a jumbo shape. That's really weird because Gibson is the one that invented that. Now I want to clarify, I'm not saying these companies should come after Fender, but if Fender needs to play by their own rules is what I'm saying. And this is not even getting into like their modeler, which just has a bunch of software versions of stuff you can buy, and let's just say the allusions to what those things are replicating are not very subtle. And I have no problem with that either. I'm just saying, if you make up the rules, I expect you to follow them. Anyways, he also tries to say that this entire thing is based off of the court ruling in Europe, so everyone in the US doesn't have to worry, and he tries to frame that as a very positive thing, but I do not believe for a second that they would not try the same shenanigans here if they could, especially considering that they're sending cease and desist to US-based builders. Granted, it's because these US builders have sold to stores and people in the EU, but I still feel like the point stands that they're trying to use the EU court ruling to affect the US market.
We are approaching it this way, the Fender way, with collaboration. Our preference is practical, reasonable solutions. Design modifications were needed, generous transition periods to sell through existing inventory, no inventory destruction. Those comments were unfortunate, but we are not asking anyone to destroy inventory.
I love how he calls it a comment and not a statement that was made in the letter that was presumably proofread.
As the #1 electric guitar bass and amp brand in the world, Fender will lead the market. We must lead the market.
I don't know why he didn't just leave this sentence out of the speech, because it just cements the fact that they're trying to underhandedly eliminate people making better S-style guitars than them. Like, yeah, everything prior to this was pretty bad, but this right here, it's got to be the actual worst part of it. And I'm not even talking PR wise. I'm talking if somebody took Fender to court and was like, yeah, Fender's trying to underhandedly eliminate their competition. Here's this direct quote from the CEO in a speech. I've been told that this could be a real nail in the coffin for him. And we may get to see one pretty quickly because Tolman, the largest music retailer in the world, who, like many other dealers, got a cease and desist. And Tolman was like, alright, we're pulling out the Uno reverse card and we're going to go ask a judge for something called a declaratory judgment. And I had no idea what that was prior to all this, so I'm going to read this law firm's article about it. Declaratory judgments provide a legal tool to settle uncertainties before conflicts escalate into costly lawsuits. They define the rights and obligations of parties, offering clarity in situations where disputes could arise. By addressing issues early, they help avoid prolonged litigation and unexpected liabilities. So basically, they're going to go to a judge and ask, okay, what do we actually legally need to do, and what rules do we have to follow in case Fender tries to come after us? So if Fender does try to follow through on their legal threats, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Anyways, that's about where we're at today for all of these cases. I have been sitting here for about 10 minutes trying to think of an outro for this anthology that has been cooked up here. I think I've actually contracted some form of cerebral diarrhea. Because any thought that shows up right now, my brain is immediately like, yeah, we're not doing it. I think after taking the notes for the Ethan and Ideb's case and for all of these cases right here, I think the stupidity from all of those things have compounded into some sort of cognito hazard. And in a few hours, my family's going to find me like passed out on the floor or something.
Howdy, y'all. I couldn't sleep, so I'm recording this segment at 5:21 in the morning. I have just absolutely dumped into my toilet now, and I have also been hit with the news that there is a court case, a trademark dispute, another one, about who has the rights to tung sahur. I think I'm gonna try to go back to bed now because I have absolutely no idea what is going on anymore.